Hello, welcome to another one of my videos. I'm not quite sure what that poker face symbol is at the top. I don't know what that is. I think that's TikTok doing that. I don't know if you guys can see it. Hi. So as usual, hi there, Ace. Sup? Just watched quite a good film the other night. Just thought I'd throw it out there. Old. M. Night Shyamalan, whatever his name is. Don't normally like his films, but it was really good actually. So I thought I'd just throw that out there. It's quite good. So yeah, as normal, ask me anything to do with any of the above, like aliens, Bigfoots, ghosts, jinn, cattle mutilations, etc. And I normally waffle on until someone asks me a question. So feel free to ask me a question. This will go up on YouTube. So if you miss any of it, you're welcome to watch it on YouTube, along with the other live chats that I've done. So I'll waffle on, and I was going to just talk about, let's pick a subject, Bigfoots. Sasquatches, Yeti, Abominable Snowman, various different names around the world. Although they're generally only sort of two continents. They're on America and. Someone's just asked, can you talk about crop circles? Yes. Okay, so as we know, so someone's asked about cryptids as well. So I'll go with the crop circles first. So crop circles, as we know, date actually back at least 400 years ago. And we know that because someone had done a carving in wood of what they thought was the thing that caused the crop circle to happen, which was a devil. So they called it the mowing devil. Obviously, we know that it wasn't, but of course, back then they never had security cameras, and a farmer would go out the next morning and suddenly see these crop flattened. Of course, it wasn't, a criminal offence. In fact, for the fact that there was no crime that you could pin to someone, it was just crop circles being flattened. So there wasn't much talk about it back then. Now we've got two characters from the UK that were disinformation, and then that claimed that they were doing all of the crop circles, but they said that they started in I think it was the late 70s. But we know for a fact that crop circles was before that because of people like Sir Patrick Moore, who flew over in the 60s over a crop circle. So the Doug and Dave, we know for a fact, were doing it just to disinformation. Now, they were probably paid by MI5 or MI6. Forgive me if I get that one which way round. And they still pay people now to this day, apparently, to create fake crop circles to make us all think that they're all fake. So the real crop circles are done not for us. The amount of people that say their message is for us, no, because when they were done, and they've been done for, as I say, at least 400 years, they were done in such a scale, size, that the only way we would be able to see the whole of a crop circle would be, 1,000 foot in the air. And 400 years ago, we couldn't get 1,000 foot in the air. The other problem is we didn't understand it either. So if it was for us, the intelligent beings that was doing it, because obviously it's intelligent, they were doing it surreptitiously. In other words, no one saw them doing it. We know what does it now, but back then they didn't. No one really saw them doing it. So these smart creatures, or whatever they are, entities that are creating crop circles, knew that we didn't know their language. So it was never for us. It was, I believe, it was for space aliens. I know it's going to sound stupid, because so basically there's orbs that come out of the ground, and I think that they're giving information on what the state of the planet's like. How not necessarily the crops where they are there, but how the planet is itself, and so they leave these crop circles for the space aliens, possibly greys, to see what's going on, because obviously it's difficult to communicate when you're a ball of light. So these balls of lights have been seen before and even captured. There's a great video, and I know people try and debunk that video, but it was done in 1989. This was before what they call camera tracking. And so he moved his camera left and right and zoomed in and whatever else, and that was really, well, virtually impossible to do back then, as far as I'm aware. But when people debunk that, they do it on a tripod, and then they say, look, we can do this, recreate the same thing, but it's not the same thing. But other people have since then have seen energy orbs flying around and creating these crop circles. And we know the real crop circles compared to the fake ones, because the real ones have a microwave consistency to the nodes. So a node is where it sort of, the stem goes up, then there's a node. So it's like a knuckle, for example, and then it carries on growing, and there's another knuckle. So at certain knuckles, it overheats with a microwave, and that's according to Levengood, who was a scientist that was researching it. And so the microwave type effect that happens on the corn makes it bend over, and the corn outside doesn't have that. But obviously fake corn is just trampled down. So the corn that's inside the crop circle can actually produce up to 400% more yield than the crop actually outside of a real crop circle. So there's loads of evidence of crop circles being real from just that point alone. So hopefully that sort of answers your question, unless you was after something more specific. I'll just go back. It looks like there's some questions here. Wow, a lot of people talking today. What's a cryptid? So basically, a cryptid is a creature that we haven't categorized. That's bottom line is what it is. The chupacabra, also trying to think, even Bigfoot is classed as a cryptid. So these are creatures that we can see, or we believe we've seen, but we don't. We haven't got any evidence of them. So that's all a cryptid is. My thoughts on certain cryptids are that they come through either from inner Earth, where they've escaped somehow through a crack or whatever, or they've come through interdimensionally or through a portal, which I think possibly, in my opinion, I think one of both really. You've got the firebirds that people say that they see, or Mothman, all sorts of creatures, half man, half wolf type things. I know you could say it's a werewolf, but it's the other way around. It's the head as a man, head as a wolf and the body of a man. But so these are cryptids that people have seen, and the reason why I think they're not aliens is because they're not. There's no UFO activity around at the time, and they don't sort of beam up. No one's seen them beam up. They just sort of run off somewhere and has never seen again, or never seen for a while again. So cryptids are just creatures we don't know. Just reading on now. Do you believe that all the continents is an island, that we have much more to explore, but I'm trying to find. But the government hide the truth. Sorry, that was a split in between someone else's question. Do you believe that the continent are in an island? I do actually believe, if you're referring to, I'm guessing you're referring to the whole of the planet Earth. I do subscribe to the fact that we was one big continent at the beginning, if that's what you're referring to. Over time we split, and I think we split because I'm more on the side that the inside of the Earth is actually an ice ball. And the reason for that is lots of reasons, but one of my reasons is, Halley's Comet is an ice ball. So ice balls fly around the universe. Now, if an ice ball wasn't flying so fast, hundreds of thousands of millions of years ago, and other rocks were flying around, they would end up sticking to it. And NASA's done experiments, which you can see on their YouTube channels. But I know people say NASA lies, but a lot of aggro to go through to do this experiment, which you can actually see in anti-gravity, things sticking to water droplets or ice. So I subscribe more to because I know people say, well, the molten core has to be because of the magnetic poles. It doesn't actually. That's the only reason why we believe it's got a molten core or an iron core, is because of the north and south poles. You get rid of the magnetic north and south, and then they have no idea what's at the centre of the Earth. So they've just assumed. But apparently, according to scientists, you can still have a north and south pole on a planet this size and not have a molten or an iron core. So if the inner Earth is basically a ice block or ice rock, apparently the way that the continents split was because the ice over time heated up and caused the Earth to expand, which basically allowed more water to come up, because originally we didn't have this much water. And that would also explain where the water's come from, where scientists at this point said, oh, it was probably meteorites that brought the water. But what if the planet was originally full of water underneath, and then it slowly escapes up and fills up? Because apparently we was a bit smaller when we first formed. Yes, I know you could argue that we was also smashed into, but let's go after that. The planet was a bit smaller, but and we've got bigger, but yet the mass has stayed the same, and that's possibly because the water that was inside has expanded. So that's, sorry, I don't know if I even answered the right question there, but hopefully that's entertained someone for 3 minutes. Fairies are definitely real. I don't care what anyone says, they are around us. Okay, that's from Donna. I actually think fairies, not necessarily fairies that we believe that are called fairies, possibly not the ones with wings. However, I'm not ruling that out. But I think there's just too many cultures out there that talk about gnomes, fairies, leprechauns, Smurfs. Yes, Smurfs is not just a cartoon. The little people. There's just too many stories out there of these small humanoids, really, that, and these date back, centuries, these stories. So you got to remember, portals, I believe, are located in locations where there's certain terrain. So, for example, the Missing 411 by David Pilates suggests that national parks where they have high concentrations of quartz and limestone, a lot of people go missing there. But obviously over time around the planet, we've got rid of a lot of these portal areas by building. So where people years ago would have seen all these smaller creatures coming in and out, they don't see them so much now, because the terrain that allowed the portals to open and close for them to come through has been destroyed. And there's only certain places, and funny enough, the places seem to be national parks, certainly in America. So you've got to ask yourself why that area was blocked off. Was it just coincidence that people go missing there, or is it as a national park, or is it they knew that that's a sacred area for whatever reason and then created a national park around it? So so I do think there's some sort of fairies. Whether or not they actually had wings, I can't answer that. I know there's people out there that said they've seen them, and that there's people that have photographed fairies, but dead ones with skeletons and whatnot. But later on, people say that they were done as a taxidermy effect. So there's a lot of misinformation out there, but I can't imagine them not being real just from the huge number of people. And if you go back to a law, if you had that amount of eyewitnesses in a courtroom, the person would be found, guilty or not guilty. So that amount of people, you have to sort of say, well, okay, they definitely saw something. Have I ever seen a ghost? No. No, I did the Ouija board with my mum, just me and my mum, and it moved, and it was my dad talking. And at that point, I was skeptic. I asked, could it read? I say it. I asked, can he read my thoughts? He said yes. I asked, can you go to letter F, for example, without my mum knowing that I was saying that in my head, and it went to the letter F. I did it about 6 times, and it went to all the letters that I said without my mum knowing, because I didn't ask the letters out loud. So I have to believe there's spirits out there, because that's, it wasn't me pushing it, and my mum didn't know what letters to go to. So although I haven't seen a ghost, I certainly believe they are there. So, Donna's, that was a question from Travis, it looks like. Donna's asked, what's jinn, please? So jinn, so basically, very basic, there's light beings, such as the ones I mentioned at the beginning of the hour. So light beings, similar to the ones that create the crop circles. So light beings are the ones that enter your body when you're 3 to 4 months inside your mum's womb, and they become your spirit, your soul, and your ghost when you die. So that's the good. I say good. They're the ones that are not causing us problems at the moment. So they're light energy, and they're the ones that cross over and have different planes of existence, etc., etc. The jinn, and that's a name going back to Arabic times. The jinn are evil versions of those entities. So in other words, there's not just one type of spirits out there. I call them spirits, whatever you want to call them, entities. They're bad ones, and they're the ones that want to actually possess you. They'll possess objects. So if you have a doll that's moving, turning its head or whatever, it could be a jinn. And the story of Genie in the Lamp, Genie was an actual jinn. So they inhabit these materialistic things, as opposed to the spirits that join with you. And there is battles that go on, and you'll get priests and you'll get exorcism people going in trying to stop, and they bring with them their, shall we say, for want of a better word, their army of spirits to fight the jinn that's trying to take over someone's body, for example. So there's many cases of that from exorcism people and clairvoyance and stuff like that. So it's quite fascinating what the jinn are. But they're the ones that want to. They like fear, and they're the ones that would try and let you commit suicide. It's kind of weird because they don't want you to commit suicide, but they want you to have that negative feeling. So they feed off of negativity, the jinn. And right now in this world where we're going, they're probably having a right feast. Maxine has wrote, "Oh, what I believe the aliens have done them. Do you?" I'm guessing you're on about the crop circles. So if it's the crop circles, I would say it's alien entities, which are the ones that the light being type entities. Now they do communicate with other aliens. There's lots of stories of the two of them being seen together, and little greys taking out the spirit, the entity, the light orb, whatever you want to call it, out of a dead person and putting it into a cloned body. And that's probably what happens with the Americans at the moment, what they're doing with cloning. Ace, still here. Hi, Ace. The Last has wrote, aliens are fallen angels. So I'm just reading the next one, which says, also from the Last, smile, aliens, demons, same things. Okay, so the fallen angels, the more I read of the Book of Enoch and those texts, basically angels, and this is, if you just do enough reading, this is really clear. So an angel, we call an angel because that's what we think of a winged being or a spirit or whatever it is. But if you go back to the actual original text where the word angel comes from, it's not. It's literally a police force or an army, military. That's all it is, because when you read Enoch standing there chatting away to an angel, you replace that word to an angel. Yes, you've got holy angel and archangel, but all they are just higher up. And if you go and read it or go and listen to it, absolutely, categorically, it makes so much sense when he's saying, I was led to one of the holy angels, and then that person or that angel then took me to this location and we chatted and things like that, because they also talk separately about spirits, seeing spirits of dead people and stuff like that. So they are two different things. So angels are real Anunnaki, just a job title. It's like me saying the army. That's all they were. Fallen angels are Anunnaki that had relationships with the earth women at the time and shouldn't have. So fallen is basically another word for disowned, for example, or dishonored or something like that. So once you start working that out, it makes so much more sense than having angels and spirits, because you go back to the original source, which is where we're all quoting from, really. I mean, even the person that's just talking about that there, where they wrote aliens are fallen angels, you're obviously referring back to what you've heard through the Bibles, which, as we know, the Bibles copied and changed from the Book of Enoch. So the Book of Enoch and all those other texts were prior to the Bible. So if you go back to the original source, which is all those original texts, Dead Sea Scrolls, etc., it makes so much sense when they're talking about, in one sentence, they actually talk about standing there chatting with one of the angels and seeing a dead body and the spirit coming out of the dead body in the same sentence. So we can separate the angels and say, okay, they're definitely physical beings, and they were, guiding Enoch around different places all over the book. It's just, he met with a different angel, he met with another angel, met with another angel, and then he talks about spirits. So we can certainly say the fallen angels are just Anunnaki, as it was written anyway. Anunnaki, which are aliens, yes. So in a roundabout way, you're right, aliens are fallen angels. So yeah. But you wrote there that aliens, demons, same thing. See, I struggle with demons because when I ask people what's a demon, they can't answer it. They sort of say, well, it's they can't really answer it. Is it a horned being? Is it Satan? What is a demon? See, so to me, a demon is just something that's it's like a monster. Describe a monster to me. You can't, because whatever your monster is different to what my monster is. Do you see what I mean? So a monster, I could have 4 legs on my monster, and your monster could have 6 or 2. See, so that's the same as a demon. There is no set demon. It's just a word, I believe, for someone evil. That's pretty much what I think it is. It's, when you say, Bill Gates is a demon, you could be right. But he's not a demon as in a one particular type of creature because there's no definition of a demon, the same as no definition of a monster. Okay, I'll just move on. Pig Stars wrote, aliens are ugly. I don't know if they were made in their image. Okay, so I'm guessing you're referring to the Anunnaki because, as we know, Elohim is their race name, and in the original Bible, which was a copy of the, you know where I'm going with this, it actually says that man was made in their image, which is plural there. Obviously, later on, the powers that be that changes the books changed it to his image. So straight away we know that makes sense if you go along the lines of everything that I've been talking about, where the Anunnaki are the creators of us Homo sapiens sapiens, which they then made in their image, which is true because we do look like the statues of the Anunnaki, or Elohim if you want to call them by their right names. Okay, Chrissy's wrote... Chris Silver. Sorry, the two S's there. Wrote, you think in dualistic thinking, aliens and demons, do they really have to be separated? So that's going back to what I was just saying a minute ago about demons. You could call an alien a demon because it's there is. I don't know if you heard what I was talking about a minute ago, but demons have no structure. Your demon and my demon will be two totally different things. Obviously, yes, we've got the preconceived ideas from where people drew, the devil, for example. So we might think that it looks a bit like that. There's hounds of hell where they're, got red eyes and two heads and things like that. So people's come up with these ideas over the years. Whether or not they've seen them, I don't know. But we then obviously, associate things with demons as evil, when really anyone could be evil. Bill Gates. I'll move on. Maxine, I've enjoyed this. Thanks, XX. Oh, thank you. Do watch the other ones. These are all my live chats go on YouTube. So if you're enjoying this, do watch my other videos or listen to them at least on YouTube. Pigstar wrote, yes, they should be separated. That's to do with the demons. Then Pigstars wrote, demons are spiritual spirits. Well, then you could call the jinn a demon. Do you see where I'm saying with this? If you can call the jinn that, then if it has to be a spiritual being, what one is it? So it has to be evil, does it? Do you see where I'm going with that? There's no sort of set. I don't know. Just to me, there's no set rules on demons or evil or that kind of thing. Pigstars wrote, aliens can't answer one spirit. Can't enter. He's wrote underneath. Sorry, aliens can't enter one spirit. So to me, the spirit is an alien. The Quran also says that they join with us 3 to 4 months while we're in the womb. So, and the spirit does. It's not just humans that the spirits join with. They join with other aliens as well. And then obviously they get reincarnated and so on, and that's how you get all your reincarnations. Chris Silver, as in the cryptozoology kind of explanation of things. Sorry, I'm now so far behind. I didn't realise there was going to be this many messages today. Wow. So I'm going to be more quicker on my answers. I'm sorry. So I missed out what you was referring to there. I'm just reading people. So based. Matthews wrote, crop circles are not aliens, it's sacred geometry, it's the language of creation. Which it could be, but something's creating it and people have seen what is creating it, and it's not just on video, but people that's been around as it happens have seen these orbs. So you could say, well, that's part of creation, but they're still entities. So in which case, if they're entities and they're not human, then they're aliens. So I'm saying alien as in not human. So effectively, something's creating them, and it's not humans, not the fake ones, the real ones. So the last meddler, is it? Sorry, it's just because it's white writing on my white background, which makes it harder to read. As wrote, so many people think aliens are benevolent. Listen to Phil Schneider. Well, yes. So for those that don't know, Phil Schneider was, I'll be very brief, was a construction worker, for want of a better word, and he was asked to go. I'm just being very brief. He was asked to help dig down into what he didn't realise was eventually going to be a underground base. So he's digging down because the military wanted him to do that because they needed to get into this secret base that was deep underground, and the secret base was actually an alien base. So the military was trying to get into it. So he helped them, but he didn't know all this at the time. So he helped dig down. Once he got down there, those aliens were shocked to see him and military people with guns, and a firefight started. They used some sort of beam of something, took off 3 of his fingers, I think it was, and lots of soldiers died. Now, you could argue that they were doing self-defense, these particular aliens. I don't know which ones they were for sure, but they could have been just doing self-defense, because obviously once you've got humans with guns pointing at you, I would suggest that they were probably trying to defend themselves. You've got to also remember that they are far more advanced than us. So if they were evil, I'm not saying they're not all evil, but if they are evil and they wanted to do mass harm, they could have done it a long time ago. But if they want to do small scale evil, from within, then yeah, that they could be evil. But it could also be that they were just frightened that they was going to be attacked. Just reading on here. We split over so the last has wrote, we split over the Tower of Babel, which is true, apparently. They, from what I gather, they didn't want us to all have the same language, because we were starting to rise up, and we wanted to talk to the gods, which were the Anunnaki. So we started to build this tower. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but this is just my take on it. And eventually the Anunnaki said, well, hang on, we can't have all these people rising up. Let's separate them and give them different languages, so it becomes harder for them to communicate with each other, and there's less of them to worry about in sections. So that's what they've done. Barbie's Girls wrote, Fairies, ? What? Have a watch of the video back. It's going to be on YouTube later on. So if you want to hear what I was waffling on about, please do. Ben has wrote, laugh my something off. I'll believe in fairies before I believe the centre of the earth is ice. Well, see, the logic there is actually very, very sound, because most meteorites that are flying around are ice, believe it or not. Go and check that out. So what's to say, and do you know what's coming off of the ice? When you see a meteorite, or an asteroid, should I say, there's a difference between a meteorite and asteroid. So what comes off of the tail of an asteroid? Debris. What do you think that debris is? Ice and dirt and dust and rock and everything else that is collected as it goes round and round and round. So you just put logic in there and think, okay, if that wasn't going around at that such speed and it was bigger and it was just sort of sitting there and things were hitting it and sticking to it as opposed to sticking to it as it's flying around really fast, you've probably got more chance of things sticking to it and becoming caught in the gravity of a star. So the logic there is far more better than iron, which is what we perceive the center of the Earth to be. Iron, because you would need a lot of iron from somewhere. So something would have had to split off to create the iron that would have then made a planet. Why is the iron only in the center? Do you see what I mean? So stuff would have had to stick to it. Why isn't iron at the top? Yes, I know you could say, well, we've got iron. We can make iron. But you see the logic there. The iron is in the center. So if that's in the center, then how did it get to the center? Why isn't it 3/4 of the way up? Do you see where I'm going with that? So stuff would have had to stick to it regardless, whether it's ice or a lump of iron. And you got more chance of stuff sticking to ice than you have iron. So you see, that's why I say, Ben, that use a bit of logic first, and then it might, your answers might end up being slightly different from what you're told. And you have to remember, we're told things for a reason. We're not told them because, they want us to believe certain things, whether it's right or wrong. That's how what we get told. So if you sometimes question things, the logic seems slightly bit different. Pigstars wrote, and NASA is garbage. Yeah, I mean, NASA was formed for a reason, and they give out the information that they want, just as I was just saying there. They tell us what they want us to hear. On Point has wrote, the coronal emissions shift the planet during the awakening sun cycle. Now, obviously, if you're a flat earth theorist, you probably won't believe what On Point's just said there. So I'll save that for another chat. Chris Silvers wrote, but it's an iron crystal core, they say, a lot of people say. That's it. You see, that's the problem. One person says something. If I was slightly well known and I said something and no one else bothered checking the facts, 100 years' time, everyone will be classing that as fact. It's just the way life goes. Like, for example, now, if I told you to go look up something on Google or try and research something, you'll go to the first site, you'll read the first comments, and you'll say, aha, that's it. That's just what people are like. They don't research, individually. I don't mean to sound rude, but that's just the way people are. So they'll just read, and everyone says it's a molten core. There's a film called The Core, which suggests it was molten inside the center of the Earth. So people, you got a preconceived idea of that. But the logic still stands that, to me, the ice is what caused the waters to rise. Where else would they have come from? Otherwise, there's so many logic things that make sense. The planet was smaller and now it's larger, but didn't grow in mass. Whereas iron, a molten core, couldn't do that. Okay, sorry, waffling on there. Pigstar, we keep secrets from each other. I can only imagine what they keep from us. Yes, absolutely. Chris Silvers wrote, knowledge is power. Yeah, and that's why they have the power, unfortunately. Who's measuring the planet? Pigstars wrote. Well, so if you're going back to where the Earth was, it's a good question. So going back to where the Earth was back formed as sort of mainly one continent, which would again make sense if the rest of it was water. They worked out that there was the waters were shallower, and this isn't just me saying this from the ice point of view. They're saying this from the iron core point of view as well. So scientists have agreed, whether or not you believe them, scientists have agreed that the planet way back, the waters were shallower, a lot shallower. We didn't have these deep oceans that we've got now. And that's why they say that we was hit many a times with big asteroids to produce the water. But obviously my logic goes with what if the centre of the Earth was the ice and it escaped upwards. So yeah. Ben's wrote, I might as well believe in Joe Biden if you're going to believe in fairies. Well, Ben, if I said to you 200 years ago, there'll be moving pictures on a little device that you hold in your hand, you would have said, I'll believe in fairies more than I'll believe in a device that you can talk to people around the world in. You would. Sorry, mate, but you would. And, 300 years ago, if I told you there was these massive monsters on this planet, had massive teeth and could have eaten you in one whole go, you would have laughed at me. You would. It's as simple as that. So and if I told you 150 years ago, Ben, 500 people were going to be sitting in a tin can going from here to another continent. 500 people in a tin can before anyone could fly. You would have called me and you would have said, I'd rather believe in fairies than 500 people in a tin can crossing over. So you see where I'm going with this. So you have to sort of sometimes not be so blinkered, because things sometimes, just sometimes, are not what they seem. Pigstars wrote, do you believe in the firmament dome? No. I've asked loads of questions now to people that believe in this. The first one is Halley's Comet. I say to them, right, so we see Halley's Comet for, the whole of the planet can see Halley's Comet for about 6 days, I think, as it travels over. So if the planet's got a dome, where did it come from? And we've got obviously historic fact that Halley's Comet keeps coming around at a certain amount of time. I think it's 90-something years or whatever it was. Forgive me for not knowing the exact amount of years. So even if the dome surrounded us, instead of going down at the edge of Antarctica like they say it is, because obviously Halley's Comet would need to come from somewhere and hit the wall. So straight away that kind of poo-poos the firmament idea. And the firmament, basically, if you go back again to read the actual proper books, firmament is to do with our atmosphere, where the Anunnaki struggled to get through it. It's as simple as that. When you read it properly, it's as simple as that. They struggled because they didn't have anti-gravity machines, and their planet, the atmosphere was dwindling, so they could get through their atmosphere, hit ours, bang, burn up. My God, it's classed, and they would class that as the firmament, which could be, to all intents and purposes, almost a solid object for them to get through. Makes sense. As opposed to a dome that we can't see. Nothing else on this planet has any characteristics to that dome. And is that dome man-made? Is it fake? Or is it real? There's just too many questions for it. But the Halley's Comet one, no one answers that, because they can't, because it means that it would hit the dome and it comes back round. So someone's been firing off a rocket and calling it Halley's Comet every 90 odd years, just for the sake of it. Do you see what I mean? So there's just no logic in the dome, unfortunately. And it's, once you go back to the proper books, it does make more sense. Do you think this? Barbie's wrote, do you think fairies are small? What do they do? So if there was fairies, and possibly still is, I've heard stories about leprechauns or little people, a lot of stories, people that don't want to even, go on record telling these stories about what they've seen. So I don't know whether they're winged creatures, I can't say, but I do think that there's. I mean, have you heard of the fairy rings? So these are, if you don't know, these are where flowers grow in a circle in a field or in a forest or something like that. And it's really weird because it only grows in a virtually in a perfect circle where nothing else around it, no other flowers are growing. So people call that the fairy ring. Now, what that could be some sort of radiation from possibly. So, for example, when a UFO lands, it affects trees. It also affects the ground around it and the grass grows at a different rate. So, could the fairy rings have been where a portal came through? I don't know, but there's enough people out there in past times that have said that they've witnessed fairies, etc. So, what they do, I don't know. I think if they are real, they're just obviously little creatures that manage to come through to Earth, to our existence. Donna's wrote, yes, they are small. They help nature and will help us if they feel it's right to. It's a lovely thought. I'd love to think that that's the case. The stories I hear about the little leprechauns, they are very mischievous, as opposed to, I guess, fairies then. So Barbie's now asking Donna for more information. Yeah, I'm not an expert on fairies. I can only tell you what I've pretty much said already. Just sorry, reading down. So Pigstars wrote, certain objects can carry negative jinn's energy. Yes, that's what I was mentioning earlier. Yeah, they love the negativity. Barbie's wrote, will all of this be exposed? No, absolutely not. They don't want us to know. In fact, that's why if you watch going back to when America invaded Iraq, one of the first things they'd done, which supposedly wasn't America, it was ISIS, was go and smash up all the Sumerian artifacts and break in and steal stuff, artifacts from the Baghdad Museum. Roll on. Now, I was saying that these weren't ISIS. I was saying these were the American military. Roll on a month ago, and in the newspapers it said America to give back the artifacts that they stole. Yeah. So they don't want us to know this information, unfortunately. Pigstar. Sorry, he's just replying to someone else. Just trying to. Sorry, forgive me for 1 second. I'm just trying to read enough. So Wharton has wrote, real angels look very demonic with lots of wings and eyes and even multiple animal heads. So I've mentioned what I thought the angels were. When you go back to the proper description of angels, they are physical beings. They were with the Anunnaki and they were helping Enoch around, showing him different places, different types of angels. So to me, an angel is just an Anunnaki, whereas it's certainly flesh and blood. So that's just where I am on that. So yeah, sorry, that's that. Barbie's wrote time travel, JFK, and Trump. So I've covered time travel on some of my other videos, live chats. I think it's possible. Think that Americans probably were doing it a long time ago. Supposedly, the people that do the moon missions, the army that's already part of Space Force, they get transported back in time to about 15 minutes after they left. So they do a 20-year tour. And then their spirit's taken, put it into a cloned younger body, and then sent back in time. So that's one type of thing. Then you've also got Project Pegasus that was experimenting with time travel. So I think time travel is real. I don't think we'll ever get it. I think if we ever get close to it, they will get stopped by you-know-who and either bumped off or they'll want us to work for them. So I think time travel is possible. JFK, yeah, he's certainly assassinated for lots of reasons. There's so many reasons out there that people wanted him gone. It's not just because he was at the secret societies. It's not just because of aliens. There was lots of reasons that they didn't want him around, and so that just made sense to get rid of him. I'm surprised they did it in such public fashion, but there you go. Right, I'm running out of time now, so I'm going to be really quick. So I've only got 7 minutes left. Young Insteppen has wrote, angels can take different forms. See again, angels. If you please have a read of the Book of Enoch. Read where it says about spirits and angels, and just put your mindset that they were military or police. So when he says, I was chatting to one of the military people, the higher up ones, such as the Ark or the Holy, we're thinking straight away, we're programmed to think Holy and Ark and everything else. But no, they were just Anunnaki showing him, different things, and it's all throughout the book. They're talking about angels. So we've been programmed, I think, to believe angels are, spiritual, but in the real truth of the matter is they are flesh and blood. But there are spirits separate to that. So Andrews wrote, when I was 5 years old, I saw a black silhouetted man with a red outline and red eyes. Rather you than me. Now I know it's shadow people. Yeah, I've done videos talking briefly, or live chats talking briefly about shadow people. So, rather you than me. Luckily, I haven't come across them. Supposedly, they are a real thing. Probably interdimensional, I would have thought. Pixar's angels in the Bible was beautiful creatures. Yeah, see okay, this is a problem. The Bible come from everything before that. The Bible is a retelling. So if I took Lord of the Rings and changed it, which one's right? It's got to be the Lord of the Rings, the first one. So once you realise the first one has to be right and everything else is copy off, just go research, and it just makes so much more sense, because the Bible is written by people that want to tell you a narrative. That's why they took out the bit where it says, God made us in their image. They changed it. Now, if you read the Book of Enoch, it actually says that they know. The Book of Enoch says that later on there'll be other books written. They'll change what we wrote in this for their own good. And bang, they did. People did. Even though the word of God shouldn't have been changed. If you read the Bible, read that, which was actually written in the Book of Enoch. They didn't want you to change any of the words that was in the Book of Enoch, but of course it then copied onto the Bible and so on. So I have to struggle with the Bible because it's just a retelling, and a poorly one at that. Okay, Billy's wrote, good morning, what's your thoughts on ex-Canadian Defence Minister Paul Hellyer? I think he's fantastic. He's the guy that is now trying to let the world know about what he knows, which is lots of aliens are here. Lots of aliens are around. So I think he's a very brave person. I just wish there was more of them people, but it's funny how no one really listens to him that much. You got ex-Canadian Defence Minister. In other words, he knows what's going on, and no one really listens to him. It's really sad. Pixstars wrote, true, my right could be your wrong, and your wrong my right. 100%, he's wrote. I'm not sure. What exactly are jinns? I've already mentioned this in this video. So I'm going to be putting the video up on YouTube later on this evening. So do have a watch, and it's fairly near the beginning of the video. I've only got sort of 3 minutes left, and there's 40 messages. So I'm going to try and... Do you believe the Anunnaki will return They, from what I've heard from whistleblowers and stuff like that, they are already in communication with the military. So I don't think they're going to return like we think they're going to return. The stories are they're going to come back and kick our butts, but they're already in communication with the military. So I don't think we're going to see them come back like that. And if they do come back, they'll wait till after the depopulation programs happened. Andrew's right. I saw shadow people as a kid, had red eyes. Yes, I read that one, but no one else could see it. My dad said nothing there. I was a kid, and now I researched it, found shadow people. Yes. I wonder if it stays with you, the shadow people. I know sort of the little greys tend to take family members and stuff. I don't know about the shadow people. There's not too many people out there that talk about them. Probably because a lot of people just think it's, corner of their eye and they were mistaken. What do you think of the Freemason Earth model? I've seen it, kind of makes sense. I'll reply to that on another video, only because I've got 2 minutes left and there's 35 messages here, so I'm sorry. That's going to take more than 2 minutes. I'm just going through. You didn't answer my question. Shadow people after me. That's Andrew. I don't know. I don't know if they continuously follow people. I've never heard people repeat back saying that they've seen them more than once. That's not to say that doesn't happen. So that's why I can't answer. I don't know if they are attracted to one particular person, like the Anunnaki, like the Greys do. Someone's asked him, has he had sleep paralysis? 76 years, I'm guessing that's when Halley's Comet, thank you, comes round. So you can see why the flat earth don't work, or the dome don't work, if you've got Halley's Comet every 76 years, because it means every 76 years someone's firing up a rocket or whatever it is just to go round, it doesn't work. What's your thoughts on mermaids? Have a watch of my videos. I've actually done some videos on mermaids. I'd like to go into it more because there's a couple of people out there that actually talk about that they've seen them and worked on them. So the problem is I'm just running out of time, so I really apologise for this. Just going to try and... So I will, if I come back on sort of Thursday lunchtime, please ask me these questions again, because they're all fascinating questions, and I'm really sad that I don't have the time now. Yes, fairy ring. Sherry's right. A fairy ring is usually depicted as a ring of mushrooms. Yes, there has been flower ones as well that I've seen. Sorry, there's messages between a couple of people. Andrew saying it regarding the shadow people, it used to scare me, but I'm guessing it doesn't now, which is good. Bible says, do not take or add anything away. Yes, it does. That's correct. But unfortunately, the Bible did take stuff away. I'm just trying to get down to the bottom here. Can you do a video on dragons? I have done a video on dragons. However, yesterday I saw a report saying that they've actually found a dragon, a fossilized dragon. And I want to do a new video on that, because obviously that changes a lot of things. Now, whether or not it's got 6 appendages, or whether it's just got the 2, in which case it's what they call a wyvern as opposed to a dragon. So I need to do that. Sherry, brilliant. Brilliant. I've always been fascinated by mermaids. I look forward to watching. Yeah, so go back, and probably best to anyone watching this, go back and watch video number 1 onwards, because you might find some of the stuff I say hopefully interesting. There's a few horror movies Andrew's wrote about shadow people. I've not seen them, actually. Soul Matrix has wrote, I believe in mermaids. Yeah, I'd like to cover more in that, but some of my videos do talk about mermaids and show pictures and stuff, which is quite interesting. What's cattle mutilations? I've done videos on that. If you haven't already seen them, go watch my videos on cattle mutilations. But I'll come back on Thursday noon UK time, and you can ask me these questions, and I can go more in depth for you. Sorry about that. And Soulmates wrote, I have a dragon video on my TikTok, don't know if it's real. I will try, if you can send me a message, I will try and check that one out, actually. I have to go now. I'm now 2 minutes over, and the world is going to end if I don't go. So thank you, everybody. I'll be back on Thursday just for you lovely guys. And when I say guys, you know what I mean, guys and women, whatever else you want to be called. So I'll talk to you all on Thursday, but do watch my videos. And thank you to the people saying thank you. All right, thank you. Bye-bye now. Bye.